And so I really was hoping to get some more clear direction on if this feeling of stuck was related to the energy in my house. And so I was delighted to hear that you were willing to go down that path with me. I can absolutely say this craziness works.
What was it after you interviewed me that made you feel you wanted to experience Feng Shui for yourself?
I feel like a lot of people think Feng Shui is very much woohooery. And in order for me to confidently speak about it in my podcast, I needed to know this is what she says, this is what we implemented, and this is what happened. I'm very much a data-based person. I make decisions. I need to ask all the questions. I need to get all the information, and then I can make a decision. So that's how I function. And I assume, best case scenario, that my listeners appreciate that. And so when we talked, I was like, I want to take this to the next level and really be able to speak about it from a personal perspective. The only way to do that was to really get in the weeds with you and have a consult.
The books that you read, the self-development books, were you even a little bit in the law of attraction kind of world or not really? Like, did you see how Feng Shui and setting intentions with your Feng Shui paired with like creating a life you want?
Yes, for sure. I love my biggest all-time number one is Jen Sincero, You Are a Badass. And she talks a lot about getting your mind right. And what you think about often will manifest itself. So if you're waddling in the negativity every day, guess what?
Mm-hmm. Feng Shui, I like to say it's like fun energy work. If you don't want to dive into your shadow work or your family traumas, you're not ready to go to a therapist, Feng Shui is like a nice, fun way to start that energy refresh process. So speaking of intentions, what did you want to get out of Feng Shui going into it? What were your intentions for Feng Shui?
I think the thing that was feeling really heavy to me was that I was doing all of this promotion. I was doing my podcast. I was doing social media posting. I had paid attention to my brand as far as the design. I'm very intentional with everything that I do. And I just wasn't seeing the uptick in business. And so I was like, something is funky. What is happening here? And so I really was hoping to get some more clear direction on if this feeling of stuck was related to the energy in my house. And so I was delighted to hear that you were willing to go down that path with me and talk about money and the direction of my home and the space that's good for that and where I should be spending time when I'm making calls and changes to make to the front of my home. And I made a tweak to my front door and everything changed. Everything changed. I'm so busy. And so I can absolutely say this craziness works.
After we set your intentions, we go into the next portion, which is the virtual consultation for us because you're in Portland. I was in Texas at the time, so this was a virtual Feng Shui consultation. I do not need to be in the home. So what did you think of that portion of the experience? Seeing the Boggle map of your home and then us touring the home together simultaneously, adjusting the home together. Is it what you expected? What would you tell other people it was like?
What was fascinating was the amount of information that you need and the amount of information that you put out. So this map has so many layers of things on it. The answers to so much stuff can be right there. So from color to how I'm feeling when I'm sleeping or not getting any sleep, all these different things can sort of be answered in this very detailed and layered map, which if I just looked at without you, I would not know what the heck I'm looking at. It looks like Chinese.
Because it kind of is.
It kind of is. Yeah.
Had you ever looked at, and so we're talking about classical Feng Shui, flying star techniques. So she's seeing all these numbers over her floor plan. She's seeing all these different directions. Had you looked into BTB Feng Shui at all, where it was just like the 9 colored squares, or were you really going into this blind?
Going into this blind, I knew that I'm a real estate agent. And so I knew that there were people that would not buy a house if it had a particular number in the house number.
Oh, yeah.
For Feng Shui reasons. I know there are clients who have said, I can't be in a house with the door that's like that. It's literally built in the home, either facing that direction or in a way that was not okay with them. Mm-hmm. And they cited Feng Shui. So that was truthfully the extent of it. I've also been in contact with businesses that have had Feng Shui consultants come in and give them direction for a build out so that they can set their space up for success commercially. So I have definitely been in contact with people who take it serious. I think that's, it's not just about a throw pillow.
Right.
So I think that I had given it enough weight to, first of all, have the conversation with you at all. I mean, what is it? Not only what is it in theory, but what is it when it's applied and what can it do? And I think those are important questions. And going down the path that you and I have gone down, it has answered a lot of questions, and much of it is in that map.
So that's how you feel about the Boggle map, the experience of walking through your space and making adjustments. How was that for you? Was it less work than you thought, more work than you thought, odd to be rotating anything or moving a plant?
It was everything I thought it would be, and that was a good thing. I mean, I have high expectations out of myself, and I love it when I'm working with someone that meets me at that level.
In terms of the experience, I suppose my question is more about, so you set an intention of, I want more quality over quantity in my business. And so then I came back to you a couple days later after the intention setting call in our consultation, and I say, okay, I want you to be using your front door more. And I also want you to put a water feature in your kitchen. And were you like, that's what you're giving me? Or were you just like so open-minded that you didn't even analyze it?
So I absolutely love a challenge, and I chewed on the whole need running water feature in kitchen thing for a good long time, because I already have put so much effort into my space.
Yeah, you have a beautiful home.
Thank you. Feeling right. And so I was like, oh my God, it's already done. Like, now what do? I have to figure out a water feature for this. So it was a really fun exercise. And the thing that I came up with, I was able to incorporate my design that I already had, incorporate the running water feature with it. It wasn't that big of a stretch in the end, even though I was thinking about something 5 feet tall and cascading, and will there be splash, and will it ruin my floors? And I mean, I think all the way around, how is this going to play out in the long haul? So the thing I ended up coming up with worked fabulously, but it did take a minute. I had to also think about having the door open with no screen. I don't have a screen on my front door. And you were like, I really want that to be open. In order for it to be open, I had to come up with something that was going to be aesthetically pleasing, because I have a very modern yellow front door with a window that goes from the top to the bottom, so that can't be cut off by, a half a line through it with a screen situation. There's a zillion screen doors. I don't like any of them. So I came up with an option for a phantom screen where it just folds into itself, and like a sideways shade almost, and you don't even know that it's there, but it allows us to open the door on, nice sunny days. We can let the money in.
Yes. So a few big points here. One, you do have a beautiful home, but I want to remind people and reiterate to people that Feng Shui does not care about aesthetics. Energy is unbiased. Energy is a neutral source. So it doesn't matter if your home looks Pinterest perfect or if it's to your taste, which might be very eclectic and not what you see in magazines. Kristina does have a wonderful home, so these pictures are all beautiful, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have the nicest things like my house. My grandmother's home is beautiful. It's 1950s wallpaper. It's been around for 45 years.
That's fabulous.
Maybe not the most modern thing you'd find, but it's not the point. It's how you use your space. So then that fast forward to answering your question. In your case, your personal energy number was right at the front door, and it was specifically your money, personal energy side of it, your yang side of your personal energy number. And so, yeah, I needed you opening that door. And it's so great that you took your time to think about things you love. You want everything in your home should be intentional. Feng Shui, too much change at once creates chaos. So I have clients that are very like, okay, I'm doing it all right now while we're on the call. And while I love walking people through a consultation and we get as much done, I don't want to leave anybody with any homework because I want you to follow through and actually apply what we talk about so that your investment sees results. I also don't want you to impulsively buy things that don't matter and clutter the home with more things, and it all just negates itself. So speaking of Kristina's front door, let's take a look at her solution and this phantom screen that she applied because she did not want a bulky, ugly screen door over her beautiful modern yellow window.
So it's mounted there on the right-hand side, and it kind of pulls out like a shade where you don't see it until you want it. And then it opens and closes magnetically, and then it disappears.
That's amazing. You have wonderful, everybody go check out her podcast, by the way. She has wonderful tips for all of these things. She finds so many cool products.
Thank you. It's called Home, Space, and Reason.
Yes. Let's do the videos of your water feature. So you chose one of a larger size.
Yeah. What's interesting about this space is my dining room area. The main part of the dining room is obviously the table. So in either corner, I had plants already. And what you had said is that plants are okay in this space, but we needed to figure out how to add a water feature. And so instead of adding something that would have needed to sit on the floor, because the dining room table is the only other space in that area, I just added a fountain in an existing planter. It sits right in, the plant grows behind it. And that way the plug-in is kind of obscured. It's not as obvious as it might be if it was a standalone, and it's just worked really well. It comes on. I have of course, I have a smart plug. It comes on at 9 a.m. and it goes off when we go to bed. So it's running every day. I never have to think about it.
How cool. I didn't even realize until now. You like Jimmy rigged it, if that's a word. You put the water feature in a planter and plant behind it. You didn't buy it.
Correct. That's a tabletop fountain, and there are rocks underneath it supporting it so that it all looks like it's a huge big thing, but it allowed me to keep a plant there without having an additional table. Because I mean, you can imagine another thing sitting there would not have worked in that space.
Kristina, what were some of the adjustments you loved the most, or maybe some that you were most skeptical about doing, but glad you ended up doing them?
Well, what's interesting is I think my favorite was the screen door, because we often enjoy having that door open now. And it's not something that I would have necessarily done otherwise. So I love that we're experiencing more of the outdoors. This is a day and age where if you're living in a newer home, it's so well insulated that you can't even tell what season it is outside because it's, cooling in the summer and warming in the winter. So it's maintained at this, 70 degrees bit, and you don't really feel the outside as much as maybe we used to. And having that screen door just makes you feel a little bit more connected to what's going on in the world and outside. And it's pleasant. I love it.
And with your money energy and your personal yang energy, which is the doing, which is the activity, which is the getting things done and seeing results energy, it's very important that you use that front door and you open it and you're seeing the benefits.
Indeed. Yes. I'm busy. I'm so busy, in fact, that you cannot even get me to respond to you about this meeting. I have so many houses closing. And so, yeah, it's definitely, it works. I actually even you've assigned me a specific chair on the front porch that I need to sit in. There's a row of 3 chairs on my front porch, and one of them is in my triangle. So that is where I sit and have coffee.
When you guys get the Bagua map, and in her case, in the Bagua map, it's 8, it looks like a piece of pie. There's 8 wedges, each one is a direction. And in her case, I keep talking about how her money, personal energy number is right at the front door. Her front patio extends into a different pie wedge direction that doesn't have as supportive of energy. You don't have to avoid certain parts of your home. You don't have to be scared of certain areas of your home. There's just, if you have goals, which is make more money, get more quality over quantity clients, that was her intention. I tell you how to get your intention to manifest. So I said, use that front door. And if you really want to activate it every morning, go out there, specifically this chair, this area, have the coffee here, remember these intentions. And you then align your energy with the energy of the direction that's supportive to your goal. And it's like having the wind at your back. It's like putting in the same amount of effort, but getting a boost from the energy in your space to maximize your efforts. Why work harder, right? Work smarter, not harder. And Kristina, were there maybe any adjustments that you were a little bit skeptical about that I recommended you do? You mentioned an intention or a problem. And then I said, well, here, if you do this, it should help that. And I can think of one off the top of my head. You were mentioning to me you had this like lower back pain and hip pain that you'd seen doctors about, and they didn't really know, you didn't really know. And it just was always kind of this lingering thing that you just didn't have a solution for. And then I came to you looking at your Bagua map, and even more, just an aerial view of your house. And I had some recommendations for you. Were you skeptical about that?
Yeah, it was really trippy when you pointed it out, where the energy was just shooting straight through. There was no houses to block it for blocks and blocks and blocks. Like, that's a major long ways where energy just picks up and basically splices my bed in half. So when I'm laying there at night, I'm just getting a barrage of energy, kind of like assaulted. And so you had made a few recommendations on, changing a few things so that we weren't in the direct line of fire, so to speak.
Yes. So for everybody watching and listening, when we have a long shooting, whether you're at a T-junction, maybe your house is sitting at the edge of the end of a T-junction in a road, or in her case, in the back, it's basically a long, narrow pathway, whether it's a street, whether it's, in this case, a collection of alleys and backyards. It creates what we call shachi, this long shoot of energy straight to, in her case, in her Bagua map, her health and human harmony side. So everybody, when you're looking at your Bagua map, you have this yang business doing side, and you have this health, human harmony, friendship side. And this was shooting straight to her health, which is why I knew immediately that this was the area regarding that. And then you look at what are the landforms there, what's going on in the exterior and the interior of that space. So whether it's the front door, this is where the myth of everybody should paint their front door red for good luck comes in. You really only need to paint your front door red, should paint your front door red if you are at that T-junction and you have a road coming straight to the front of your door. In her case, this was the back. So I was recommending add in some fire, whether that's in the window, whether that's in the backyard. The extreme solution was to really build up either a barrier or a wall, but sometimes not all recommendations are immediately applicable in the financial priority list. So in your case, it was adding in fire of some way, though, to burn this long rectilinear wood element shachi coming to your back and to your health.
Yeah. And you had also said, you need to shut that door when you sleep at night, our closet door, and add something red into the window, curtain, etc. And then we also have planted up that back area pretty significantly. There's purple flowers back there that are taller than me. So it has sort of created a giant wall of, it's an evergreen California lilac. So huge, and it's that way all year round. So that sort of creates a wall. And then I'm still trying to source a metal frame of sorts that can go up and actually create some more definition out there to make it feel more like a room. And I think that's going to help several other things that you and I talked about too. So these things sometimes take a while, but I know that I have had a whole lot less pain, to zero pain sometimes. And I think being aware of that has helped a lot. Yeah.
Certainly in the beginning, I remember you telling me, I haven't thought about it, because I said, how's your pain? You're like, oh yeah. I guess it's not here today.
Yeah, and it's not here a lot, almost at all anymore.
Amazing. And the purple is a way to add in fire. So fire colors are red, orange, purples, all those bright colors. So the purple flowers can help with that. Okay, my next question for you is, what were your thoughts post adjustments? So after we spent a few hours together via Zoom, via virtual, you adjusted everything together, and then I said, all right, let the energy do its thing. What were your initial thoughts?
I was curious how long it would take to work. I got a phone call from Google, like when you have a Google business listing and they push it through, sometimes it will say, this is from, the little voice at the beginning will say, this is from your Google business listing. I literally got a call within like 5 minutes of making some adjustments. I was like, what? Come on, that's not real. Like, it was real. It was a real call. It didn't end up converting into a client or whatever, but I was just like, that was a little ping from the universe, like, yes.
Yeah. Because you had never, didn't you say I had it up for years? I'd never got a Google business call?
Yeah. I mean,
5 minutes.
Come on.
And yes, not everything is this immediate win. Feng Shui is not a lucky charm, guys. It's not going to always be this windfall of money, but that is the little serendipitous moments where it's like, keep believing, keep keeping your eye out, because look at that. And if we can find it, I would love to find the text and plug it right here where you texted me, within the 10 minutes. And you're like, what? Like, is this a joke?
Totally.
Because I'm not linked with Google. I didn't hack that.
Yeah. You're good.
I know. So exciting. So your initial thoughts post-adjustment, it must have been, I'm not really sure. And then the universe said,
yes.
Be sure.
Yes. It was underline exclamation point. Like, you run with this because there's something here. So
I love it so much, which leads me immediately into my next question. What were some of the first things you felt, experienced, and noticed, like on top of that, past the 5 minutes, maybe the next day, maybe the next week, the next month? Did anything start happening otherwise? Like, yes, business and then health stuff. Like, what else started to come up that was maybe a little more serendipitous or just smoother, like in general?
Yeah, I know that my husband became a lot more comfortable in the living room. He spends more time there than I do. And I know that we talked about, particular to him, we needed to remove some plants that were in that space. And so when we did that, he was like, oh so much more peaceful.
Some of your major intentions for the space really were about work. And again, I've mentioned it, quality over quantity. And you have found an increase in business. So you maybe wouldn't call yourself less stressed out. So maybe that wasn't an immediate reprieve. But this is where then you add in other layers of adjusting other areas. But right now you're pretty happy with the go. And even though it's a lot, you're kind of feeling the push. So sometimes people feng shui, right, to feel more calm. Your husband got that effect. Your husband got a little bit. In terms of emotions or in terms of effortlessness with the clients or effortlessness with the sales, did you see anything there? Because like I said, I know maybe you wouldn't define it as less stressed out, but
I don't know that I wouldn't even say, I mean, with the exception of the last 48 hours have been kind of a crazy bit because, end of school and we've got so many things converging into one. But I feel like the things that happen are very, I'm so busy, but everything always seems to fall into place. So I can't say that I'm stressed out at all. I feel like I've sort of hit the jackpot because I'm able to have some really good quality time with my family and still I'm so busy, but the work that I do is first of all, I work out of my home, so I'm present here and I can still pick up my son from school every day and I am still able to go to his baseball games. And so having a lot of work I do not equate that to running myself into the ground. So, amazing. I don't like to use the word balance because I've also heard women say there's no such thing because, as a woman, we're often always on. And that's true, but I think there's a lot of opportunity for just celebration and being as busy as I can possibly be without hiring more people. And that's something to celebrate.
Yes, celebrating everything falling into place.
One great example is I was doing some staging for a listing that I had that just went live. And I was able to swoop through and pick up my mom and have her help me with that project. And so I'm getting good quality family time. We visited, she helped me, it was a really cool old building where had one of those sliding vintage elevators with the gate. And back in the day, I'm sure it had a doorman. But I needed help with getting stuff up into the building. And I was like, this is a great opportunity to bring her. She can help me. And that was value adding. And we got that quality time together. So there's just been a lot of opportunity for, celebrating being busy, but being able to just have that seamlessly integrate into my personal life where I don't feel like I either have to be at work working and without any sort of relationships or quality time happening, or I'm at home completely submerged in home life and no work is happening. It's just kind of gone like this. And so I think has so much value because it just is hard.
So let's let's pop over and look at your living room and these plants that we're talking about with your husband. So speaking of the area, we look at everybody in the home's personal energy. So we looked at Kristina's personal energy, which is, I've mentioned, at her front door, and there's also some in the back, but we look at her husband's as well. And his energy was in this downstairs living room space, and he's an earth energy. So when we go into her living room, we're going to notice a lot of plants. And if you look at the elemental cycle, wood and earth in the elemental cycle clash. So in this consultation, we talk about the main person. We talk about that person who brought Feng Shui to the home. But I also ask, how does your partner sleep in the bedroom, feel in the home? What's their life like? Because I don't want to focus on one. I want the family as a whole. I want everybody in the home to be happy. And so in his case, there were certain things you sort of mentioned, like sometimes there's headaches, sometimes he's worn out. He spends a lot of time in the living room. And so I looked at, oh, well, I know why, because his personal energy is in the living room. He loves it in there. And so then I would say something like, how does he feel about all these plants? And you had mentioned, what did you mention about him and his feelings about all the plants?
Well, he doesn't mind plants, but he does hate this one particular plant. And I think it was too close to his TV. And it was a climber, and I gave it a little pole to climb up. It sort of framed one side. And you were like, yeah, his energy isn't good with plants. So we had to sort of revisit that.
Yes, let's take a look at your downstairs.
So this was the before we made any tweaks and changes.
There's the climber.
There's the climber. It went up the left-hand side of the TV and across the top of the fireplace mantle there. And so that was the one biggest offender that we got rid of. I literally cut it down and threw it in the trash.
So this might have been one you were skeptical of as well. Like, this better work, Jeanette, because I love this plant.
I liked that plant.
And we still had plenty of other wood. I did not make you part with your beautiful wood sculptural table. I did not make you part with all of the plants, right? It's about balance. It's about compromise.
It is. We just minimize the plants, and it looks so much more clean and neat and tidy.
And you did say, oh no, I'm getting a green couch. That's wood, but that's okay.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that when we ordered a custom couch, it was not in a Costco color. Otherwise, I could just go buy a cheap couch and it would be plain and black or whatever, taupe, like every couch you can buy everywhere. And I wanted to make sure if we were going to order a custom one that it was in a cool color, so it was obvious that it was meant for that design and vibe. I think green is such a neutral color, and you were like, really needs to have something not green. So what I find fascinating is when you said that area needs to be not wood. What did you
basically not wood, because he's earth. So
earth to me, in my mind, this is what's fascinating. Earth to me would be wood, plants, dirt. I mean, when I think of earth, I think of all of this stuff that's natural, and it's absolutely not that. So that's so deceiving. Mm-hmm. Trickery.
Yes, the elements in traditional Chinese medicine are not exactly what you would think. For example, Feng Shui, water in the Feng Shui elements is the color black because of depths of the ocean. Most people would think, why not blue?
Yes.
Which is fair, because I thought that as well. But it's actually depths, think water, depths of the ocean.
So I pared down the plants by a whole lot, and it feels so much better. I love it. It gave me a reason to get rid of the ones that weren't really thriving anyways, along with that one that Rylan, my husband, hated. Got rid of that one.
So sometimes you might think you love something so much and it's serving you and it looks so cool, but you actually think you feel better without.
Yes, it's just cleaner. You had me move that mirror that's on the right-hand side now and angled. Mirrors are interesting. I was not aware how big a deal they are in Feng Shui until you counseled me.
Mirrors manipulate, bounce, move energy all around. You want it to be reflecting something that should be magnified.
Yes, so you said that corner was the only option on that whole wall. I also want to add into that, it really helps with direction. So one area, we have an upstairs landing area that is large enough that we call it our family room. And it was being underutilized. I am a home functionality expert, and so I'm always aware of spaces that may not be used to their best and highest potential. And so my intention was to take a space that just had a cabinet where I had my extra blankets and some of my son's like puzzles and games and stuff, and change that into a space with cabinetry and a desk space. So that will give him a home base for his homework as he progresses. He's 9 now, so he's looking at years ahead of him where he's going to have some homework. And I wanted to give him a dedicated space to where he felt like he wasn't having to use our office or our desk spaces. He had a space to call his own. So when I thought about that, we had really talked about the use of color. And you said, gosh, gray is actually really good for you and this space. And you really encouraged us to keep it as neutral as possible for that reason. And you said circles were good in this area and metallic. And so I would love to share with folks the before and after of that space, because I feel like that's probably where we spent the most money in this last year, was that conversion, making it more functional and useful for the next 10 years. And what you recommended was absolutely why I chose the pattern that I did and the colors that I did. So I chose the circles on the top in that print, and it's gold based on, what you had recommended. And I went with white cabinets, sort of a mid-century modern inspiration with the wood surround and the different off-color white doors. And then we just again went white with the drawer pulls and stayed gray with the background based on what you had told us. So way more functional for him, same space.
Yes, another perk of working with me, doing a feng shui consultation is, as you slowly add these things in, I'm with you along the way. You can, like Kristina, she texted me pictures, she emailed me pictures. Which pattern do I go with? Which color do I go with? Even for the fountain, even for these and some backyard items as well. Flower colors, people are like, which is the best flower color? So lots of, like you said, direction that comes with it. And a perk of not trying to figure it all out on your own.
Well, I had a few that I really liked and I knew which one I wanted, but I was like, if that's counter to my energy, to my, me living my best life, I don't want to choose the one that I like aesthetically if it's going to not be awesome. So of these, ones that I like, that helped me to pick. So it was so beneficial.
So Kristina, to wrap things up here, if you were to bump into a friend who is in a similar situation, certain health things, certain career things, and they were considering feng shui and they said, sum it up for me. What did you think of feng shui? Should I do it? What would you tell them? And you don't have to be easy on me. How would you say it to a friend?
I think it's absolutely worth it from an educational perspective, because you're making educated decisions on purchases, on your career, on your family life. It affects you every single time that you go to Amazon and click buy. You better know what you're talking about. And it's different from having a design aesthetic, because you might know what you like, but it may not necessarily be great for that space or your goals. And so I think having that layer is priceless. You can make decisions better and have your life be less hard.
You can have your life be less hard. So true. That effortlessness, that things are just kind of working out.
Yes, it's putting yourself in the movie, the montage of awesome.
Amazing.
That beautiful montage that we've all seen in a lot of movies where you're just kicking butt. Yeah, it's sort of what Feng Shui does for you, is it puts you in that awesome montage where it's a good day. Everything falls into place. I'm just kind of a rock star right now.
Love it so much. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with everybody, sharing your home with everybody. It's amazing. I'm proud of you for taking the time, for applying it, this is you doing something nice for yourself as well. So I'm proud of you for actually going all into something that was new to you. And I'm excited for you that you are seeing results.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything you've done. It's been so great.
Bye, everybody.